Hey guys, I'm gonna kind of talk to you guys a little bit about the stats or the numbers of my application and how many schools I applied to, how long my rank list is looking. I applied to a total of 30 programs. I applied to 16 child neurology programs and 14 pediatric programs. So now that interviews are done, I'm kind of calculating how many programs I actually interviewed at and how many I withdrew from and how many I got rejected or denied from. Looks like I interviewed at 16 programs. Out of those 16 programs, 10 of those programs were child neurology programs and 6 were pediatrics. I can rank 16 schools. I got denied or withdrew from 14 programs. I actually withdrew from 10, 4 I got denied from. So 10 plus 4 is 14. Out of those 10 that I withdrew, 3 of those were child neurology programs and 7 of those were pediatric programs. Out of the 4 that I got denied or rejected from, 3 of those were child neurology programs and 1 was a pediatric program. So those are kind of the stats of my interview trail and what it's coming down to. Right now, my rank list is looking to be around 10 to 12 schools. Also, just for reference, I also made a sticky note here on my desktop that has all of my programs that I interviewed with, the date, the time, whether they are for child neuro, whether they are for pediatrics, anyone that I'm waitlisted for, and it kind of allows me to always have this in my vision while I'm on my computer, just as a reminder. The font was obviously much bigger, but I ended up minimizing them as I went to kind of let me know that the ones in larger fonts are the ones that I have upcoming, and the ones that are in smaller fonts are the ones that I already did. A couple of things that I'll talk about that I found helpful. So I printed out my residency application. Some people have it up on their laptop when they're interviewing. The thing about Zoom University, which is like a big thing now, and applying to residency in Zoom, is that you can have all of these documents on your desk and interview and refer to them. If you were in person, I don't think you'd be able to do that. So a plus of interviewing through Zoom, again, minus of interviewing through Zoom, is that you won't actually get to feel what it's like being at the program site, being in the hospitals, getting to feel that camaraderie between the residents who are already there. So that's a downfall. I also printed out my personal statement. And since I dual applied, I had 2 personal statements, so I printed out both. Again, you will be asked about your personal statement. Also, since I did have maybe about 6 research experiences, I also wanted to keep the data on track because you will be asked about what you found in your research. So I already mixed that up in one interview. So after that experience, I decided to print out either an abstract or a summary. So this is from undergrad. I printed out my mini grant end of the year report, which has abstract, methods, the results that I found, and kind of highlighted some important things just so if I had to refer back to it, I can easily see. So anything that you can print out or have with you to kind of refer back to is super helpful, that I'm realizing now. Just to kind of talk about like overarching things, interview season is going to be during your 4th year of medical school. Usually interviews will begin October of your 4th year and they'll kind of carry on until January. So that's gonna kind of be like your interview season block. Majority of my interviews were definitely in November, December, and then a couple in October, a couple in January. I know it's different for every specialty, but with pediatrics and child neurology, I'll speak to those. You will start getting interviews, interview invites. I believe I got my first one October 1st, and they will just trickle in every day. Some tips. Definitely, when you're scheduling your interviews, make sure your first interviews in the beginning are going to be schools that maybe aren't your top choice. You're not going to be used to interviews. You have to get the hang of things. Another thing I could probably speak to is if you have away rotations, do not schedule any interviews during that time. I actually made that mistake by, scheduling some interviews during my away rotation month. And luckily I was able to reschedule my away rotation to get enough clinical time. Essentially, try to keep those slots open. Do not expect programs to change their schedule around yours. Also, some things to keep in mind on your interview season. If you are doing something like the child neurology program, most schools or hospitals will actually have you interview with both pediatrics and child neurology. And sometimes they'll do that on the same day, or sometimes they'll do it on separate days. So again, double the interviews already just with child neurology. And then since I also dual applied to pediatrics, I kind of have like triple the interviews. So when you get all of these interviews, you have to be organized. You have to accept in a timely manner. And sometimes there's not a lot of options. So definitely be on top of your emails. I would say put your top choices in the beginning, middle-ish, secondary schools, tertiary schools in the beginning, and at the end as well. So sometimes that doesn't always work out. Earlier you see your email, the more options you may have in scheduling your interview time and date. Sometimes you get an AM period or a PM period. I've even gotten schools who just have 2 interview dates for the entire season, and so you have to pick one or the other. Also be mindful of your time zones. I usually do mine on iPhone because my time zone will change depending on my location, and you can also input the time zone in your calendar. Another thing that I'll mention, print out your interview schedule for the day. Make sure that you research who is going to be interviewing you, where they went to medical school, where they went to undergrad, if they have that information. What are their research interests? What are their clinical interests? Where is their hometown? What kind of publications are they putting out there? All of this is very helpful to know before going into your interview, because some of those things might be relatable to you. They may have been at the same undergrad as you or medical school as you. Other thing, research your institution you're interviewing at. Watch any videos they have on there. Read the program director welcome letter. Jot down things that are interesting to you, like do they have a certain clinic you haven't seen before? What's unique about their program that you can actually ask about? So those are good things to kind of jot down on your kind of notepad getting ready for interview day. Something that I kind of put together, this is my residency season interview notebook. I did one for each and every school that I interviewed at, and I just took notes. So you can see that there's this big gap here, and that is where I put my sheet here. This is my sheet of questions that I like to ask every program. So like I said, this is my little sticky note notepad that I'm able to put on every page of my notebook before my interview day, and it's just a list of questions that I like to ask each program. Some examples are, what changes can you expect within the next coming years? So you definitely want to know what's upcoming and what's new and what's going to be changed. Along that, you want to know how flexible the program is to change. So that's another good question. Other ones that I have here, work-life balance. Why are you program director? What motivated you to be program director? Things like that, general questions. And sometimes they come naturally during a conversation, but you will always find yourself in interviews where they will ask you, what other questions do you have? I just have to like go down my list. It's really awkward when you don't have questions.
What's up, everyone? It is 2 in the morning, and it is a Wednesday morning, the Wednesday before match day. I'm deciding to film because the suspense is totally killing me. My sleep has been so non-existent the past 2 weeks because of the way this is set up. So you basically get an email Monday that you matched, which I did, yay. And then Friday is match day, and so you have to wait the entire week for match day. It's just so hard. My brain will not turn off. It's been so hard to sleep. I just keep thinking about match day, what the day is gonna look like, what's gonna happen when I open my letter, and obviously what the letter is gonna say. The preparation of match day, not all fun and excitement. There's a lot of stress and anxiety behind it.
It is match day, everyone, and we are on our way. Hey everyone, we're at match day.
Almost down to the 1 minute mark. Get on your feet and let's make some noise. How about Broadway? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
everyone. My name is Jasmine, and I am doing child neurology at UCLA.